I don't care how many big moves you're making. I don't care how many people you've told about your vision or how loud you've been screaming your goals to the world. There is a time when the noise has to stop. Because right now, life is happening. The unexpected, the uncalled for the unintentional. And while you're busy talking, you're leaking the very energy you need to survive. You are walking through a valley between two voices. One is the splash of the surface, and one is the silence of the deep. One is the prey mindset that grumbles and blames. The other is the predator mindset that stays with the breaking until it produces a blessing. Look at the great white. It doesn't bark. It doesn't seek support. It moves in a wretched, dismal place where the light doesn't reach, but it remains unbroken. Every time you feel like falling apart, every time your bank account or your heart is screaming that you are done, you have a choice. You can let the circumstance define you, or you can find that staying power within you that is greater than anything going on around you. The fight isn't over. The fight is just beginning. It's time to stop retreating. It's time to stop running. It's time to show the world not what you say you are, but what you are really made of. Take a look at the surface splashers. They are the ones making the most noise, thrashing in the shallow water, desperate for you to notice their movement. I don't care how much they talk or how many degrees they claim to have. The loudest people in the room are often the most emotionally and spiritually damaged. They scream because their bank account is screaming, and they grumble because they lack the staying power to face the valley alone. This constant need to be heard is a mark of defeat disguised as confidence. They are leaking their spirit through their mouths, begging for support because they haven't found a reason to keep going within themselves. When you are insecure, you need the world to validate your fight, but when you are truly strong, you don't need no money or no support to get through the trial. Every time you open your mouth to brag, you are giving away the opportunity to get smarter and tougher. You are choosing to be a victim of the noise instead of a master of the depth. The surface is for those who are afraid of the dark, for those who would rather be seen failing than be ignored while they are winning. But you have to decide right now that your life ain't over yet and that the opinion of the crowd cannot define your destiny. True power doesn't need to bark. It doesn't need to explain itself to the shallow water, because it is driven by a spirit that is greater than whatever is going on around you. While the world is distracted by the noise, the great white is sinking into the depth, finding a strength that doesn't rely on the number in a bank account or the approval of a crowd. You have to understand that there is a power in the quiet that the loud will never comprehend. It is the wisdom that chooses faith over worry and gratitude over grumbling. When you go deep, you stop trying to convince people of your value, and you start showing the world what you are really made of. It is staying with the breaking in that silent, wretched place that produces the blessing. You aren't retreating, you are descending to where the real work happens. In the deep, there are no voices to distract you, only the opportunity to get smarter, faster, and more resilient. This is where you find your staying power. This is where you decide that regardless of the adversity or the opposition, nothing can stop you, because the only thing that can stop you is you. You are rising above what you were, becoming something that cannot be broken by the storms on the surface. Once you find that quiet place in the deep, you must develop a habit of motion that refuses to be interrupted. I don't care what they say on paper or how outnumbered you think you are. You have to keep moving regardless of the adversity. The world wants an explanation, but you don't owe them a reason for your grind. Real success is built when you stop stopping to explain the why to people who aren't even in the fight. You are walking through a valley where the only voice that matters is the one telling you to push through it. Regardless of the opposition, regardless of the trial and tribulation, you must maintain your staying power. There are things in this life you don't need no degree for, and you don't need no money for. You just need the discipline to keep going when the unexpected happens. Every time you break, it is an opportunity to get faster, tougher, and more resilient. But only if you decide that the fight isn't over. Nothing can stop you if you refuse to let a piece of adversity define your life. Stop looking for support on the surface and start moving with a spirit that is greater than your circumstances. You have the opportunity right now to show the world what you are really made of by simply refusing to run. To truly survive the deep, you must learn to starve the ego of the validation it craves. I don't care how talented you are or how much you've worked on yourself. If your fuel comes from the applause of the crowd, you will starve when you enter the valley. You need to find a reason to keep going that doesn't require likes, comments, or a pat on the back. Real staying power is born when you stop listening to the voice of worry and start listening to the voice of wisdom. Every time you look for external support to justify your grind, you are falling apart instead of getting stronger. You have to decide that your heart, your business, and your spirit are worth fighting for even when nobody is watching and your bank account is screaming that you are broke. Every human has what it takes to get past what they're going through, but you must decide to push through it without needing the world to witness the struggle. Tragedy and trials come to everybody, but only those who can find a reason to keep going within themselves will show the world what they are really made of. Don't let the circumstance define your worth. If you can find that internal reason to push, you are strong enough to become unbroken. You have to accept that there are some things in life you just don't need no support for. The great white doesn't hunt in packs, and neither do those who are destined for elite victory. You are walking through a valley where the only voice that should matter is the one of wisdom, not the one crying out for a helping hand. Realize that there is something within you, a spirit that is greater than whatever is going on around you. If you are willing to fight your way through this battle alone, you will find that you have a staying power that the surface splashers will never understand. You don't need no money for it, and you certainly don't need no crowd to cheer you on. This solitude is not a weakness. It is your training ground to get smarter, tougher, and more resilient. While others are falling apart because they've been emotionally or spiritually damaged, you are using that isolation to build a foundation that cannot be shaken. You must decide to push through it, even when the world thinks you are outnumbered or outmatched. Every human has what it takes to get past their trials, but it requires the courage to stand by what you represent when nobody else is standing with you. This is where you become unbroken. Stop wasting your breath on the boast when you should be saving it for the fight. You are walking through a valley where oxygen is scarce, and every word you spend trying to prove your worth is a breath you won't have when the real trial hits. I don't care how talented you are. There are times when things aren't going to go right, and in those moments, your big talk won't save you. You need that energy to fight your way through cancer, to fight your way through that academic struggle, or to fight your way through a divorce. Every time you open your mouth to brag, you are losing the staying power required to endure the breaking. Whether it is your business or your heart that is broken today, the mark left behind will either be victory or defeat based on how you manage your spirit. You have to be willing to push through the unexpected and the uncalled for without pausing to announce your progress. Only the strong survive because they understand that the fight isn't over, it is just beginning. Manage your oxygen. Keep your head down and your mouth shut. If you can find a reason to keep going without needing to be seen, you will find that you are strong enough to get past whatever you are going through. While the surface is busy seeking attention, the real work happens in the shadows. You must be willing to strike in the dark, executing your plan while the rest of the world is sleeping. I don't care how much you want to be seen right now. The most dangerous forces are the ones that are never heard coming. You don't need to announce your progress when the results will eventually speak for themselves. This is the opportunity to show the world what you are really made of, not through your words, but through your unrelenting execution. While the surface splashers are exhausted from their own noise, you are gaining ground in total silence. You are building something that is greater than whatever is going on around you, and you are doing it without the need for an audience. Do not be tempted to turn the light on too early. Let the world remain in the dark until the victory is already yours. This is about having the staying power to remain in the shadows until it is time to rise. By the time they realize you were even in the fight, it will be too late for the opposition to respond. You live by this and you die by this. You don't retreat, you don't run, and you don't broadcast. You simply strike, and everyone will know what you represent by the form you take when you finally emerge. Look at the marks life has left on you. I don't care if it's a sickness, a broken heart, or a business that collapsed in the dark. Every scar is a chance to define who you are. To the surface splashers, these wounds are a reason to grumble and blame the world, but to the predator, they are the very fuel that drives the strike. You must look at that sickness or that struggle and tell yourself, I can beat it. I will beat it. I must. This is where you turn your tragedy into a lethal edge. You take the emotional damage and the spiritual weight, and you condense it into a silent, focused power. You don't need no degree or no money to decide that your life ain't over yet. You use the very thing meant to break you as the reason you cannot be stopped. Let the world think you are damaged. Let them see the marks of what you've been through and mistake them for defeat. They don't know that staying with the breaking is what produces the blessing. Your struggle isn't a sign to retreat. It is the evidence that the fight is just beginning, and you have the opportunity to show the world what you are really made of. Turn your pain into a silent weapon. If you are willing to fight your way through the cancer, the struggle, and the divorce, those marks will become your mark of victory. And now, as you crawl up and out of that dismal and wretched place, you realize that the silence was never an absence of power, but the ultimate manifestation of it. You have risen above what you were, shedding the skin of the victim and the loudmouthed surface splasher to take the form of who you are supposed to be. There is no need for a victory lap or a public announcement. The world feels the shift in the water before they ever see you. Because you were willing to fight your way through the darkness, regardless of the adversity, the opposition, or the trial, you have emerged as something that cannot be reached by the noise. You have become the apex predator of your own life, moving with a spirit that is greater than whatever is going on around you. In the very act of standing up, in the very act of fighting on in total silence, you have become, and you will remain, unbroken. The marks of your struggle are no longer signs of defeat, but the quiet, lethal evidence of your victory. You live by this, and you stand by this, that staying with the breaking produces the blessing. You are here. You are silent. You are unbroken.